Champion Rocky of Fran-Jo Decathlon, HT.
Well, for breeders who are watching the tape and thinking about male dogs, I know pedigrees are important, but since we don't have pedigrees to look at right here, we're just looking at confirmation. What are some of the things that the person who has a decent bitch, not the best one in the breed, not the worst one, but a decent dog, you're looking at all these males, what are the characteristics that you'd recommend that someone ought to be looking for?
Champion Cadence.
Well, if you don't have, if you aren't going to look at pedigrees, then you simply breed type to type, or you breed the type that you want to your bitch, and then you get into selection. And
Champion Woodhaven's in search of
you look for a nice, decent dog with no major holes in it that might compensate the faults of your bitch if she has any. And then you get into the key part, and that's selection. It's very difficult to breed a litter, and you have to admit to yourself that there's nobody in this litter that's a show dog, that there aren't any good ones. And that happens more and more. And what happens is, of course, once you breed the litter, you say, well, got to keep one. And there just aren't going to be that many good dogs. Here's a real nice, this is a correct size dog. It's going to be clean coming and going. He's going to be balanced from the side with a nice back. Let's just take a look at him for a second. He's going to go select. He's right on going. He's very clean coming at you. Nice masculine head, correct size, good back.
Asgard's big deal
well,
of Encore.
If they quit calling him, we'll even get a decent gait out of him. There he goes. And he wasn't extreme at either end. Just a nice overall balanced package.
In the 6th group of best of breed males just completed. Champion Yarmork's Wrangler by Champion Sherlow's.
Well, let's go back to that point.
Let's go back. We were talking about selecting stud dogs for your bitch, because it is a crapshoot. And I'll tell you it used to be that it was pretty easy to use any dog in the country. It wasn't that expensive to ship, and the stud fees weren't that expensive. Now it's a huge expense for people to ship their dogs around and to breed them. You can easily have $1,000 tied up in a breeding between your vet bills, your air bill, and your stud fee before you even get a puppy on the ground.
Well, that's why I thought we ought to talk about it here for a minute.
So you got to be very careful in your selections. Here's a really hunk of masculine dog, but he's having trouble with the rear end and the tail carriage.
Champion Storman Norman Schwarzkopf.
And this is an exaggeration of the problem in the breed, but we see varying degrees of that all over the place.
Champion Tate's Uncas by Select Champion Woodhaven's.
Yeah, dog breeding's a huge expense these days. Both not only financially, but of course you get all your time and all your emotions tied up in it. Selection is again the key, though. You've got to be willing to select, and then you're probably going to have to hang around for 10, 20 years to get something. Very depressing outlook, huh? This dog's a little restricted at both ends. It causes him to carp slightly in the back or to break in the back.
Champion Sirius Park's Monogram by Select Champion Schneiderhause's.
Here's a stallion male.
TC out of Sirius Park's.
Nice front, nice back. When we see him from the side, he has problem cracking open the hock at the end. He's clean coming and going.
Champion Sirius Park's Monogram. Champion Abraxas Blaze of Glory, TC HIC.
So I think one of the end results talking about breeding again is that people end up in settle for breedings. You end up breeding locally or something you can drive to in your area. We see more regional breedings than we did probably 15 years ago.
But that also then really comes to the question that not only do you have to breed for what you see, but you've got to breed for a pedigree that makes sense for the dog you're breeding to.
Oh yeah, you definitely want to be a follower of pedigrees, and you note that certain lines tend to produce nice males. I'm always a believer in just keep breeding for males and the bitches will come. I'm always looking for which lines of dogs are producing nice males. I think that's the most difficult thing to breed, is a good male. So I would, if you ask me what to breed your bitch to, I'd say, well, find a dog that you like and type and think it's close to the standard, and see if you can find one out of the line or lines that are producing nice males. Here's the winner's dog, a dog that's going select. Nice balanced gait, nice back.
Champion Steigerhouse Bo Jackson by Dolmar's Kodiak TC.
Everyone wants to know, Dave, about a black dog and why it's hard to look at. Why don't you comment on?
You know, I'm not so sure they're so hard to look at. People judge black labs all the time, and they don't all stand around ringside saying, "Oh, they're so hard to look at." They're just different to look at for us because you don't have the contrast and color on them, so you kind of have to think about, well, where is that elbow? So you don't see it as clearly here on the side, so it gives you somewhat of an impression of a busier animal. But I don't find them that difficult to look at. Here we're going through and we're consulting my notepad, and we're deciding who we're going to keep. We're going through this selection process. Judge them, select, judge them, select, judge them, select, until we're going to get down to a reasonably sized group of animals that we like.
These are the keeps from the 7 groups of best of breed males.
Do I think everyone in the audience is agreeing with me? Not a chance. No one is going to agree with me 100%. You know, I go home and argue with Martha over these dogs later. That's okay.
Well, as long as she's not arguing about why the last dog isn't first.
You know,
Champion Caraland.
people always talk about the quality of judging, and God only knows I'm a critic of a lot of the all-breed judges. But you know, our specialty judges, the criteria I use is, are the better dogs up front, and then you can nitpick over whether they're 1, 2, or 3, or whatever the order is, because that's a matter of personal decision and interpretation of the standard. But we've got a lot of good specialty judges if you use the criteria are the better dogs up front.
I couldn't agree more.
Here we're checking temperament one more time. Can you fool me with temperament in a dog sled? Absolutely. This is not the perfect temperament test, but if the dog comes out and stands loose lead a couple times and I can pet him, we're going to assume it's within bounds.
Well, the relaxed face, the relaxed eyes, the tongue, they're all clues, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, the dog won't stand around. He's jumping up and down, and he's looking here, there, and everywhere. Then you get a kind of a bad feeling.
You're getting near the end.
Yeah, we're
now.
getting down the end here. We're nitpicking over these dogs, and we're going to pick ourselves a grand victor. In fact, it looks like we've decided to put the eventual grand victor. He's, I don't know if he's made it to the front yet or not. Maybe he is already up front.
Champion Schokrest Denver.
Sure, that's the select 2 dog.
Champion Caraland's Unlimited.
Well, they're pretty much in order.
Champion Kenlyn's Illuminator v. Fran-Jo.
Based on, you know, my interpretation of the standard. In fact, we just did it. That's the grand victor in the ensuing selects up through select 12. Of course, that process took us about 2.5, 3 hours.
You're ready for a break.
Here you watch them on slow motion. I think you got to be a little careful when you watch dogs in slow motion. It sometimes tends to make them look better than they are, and you need to look at them at different speeds. But this is absolutely lovely. See the dog on loose lead just carry himself along, holds himself together pretty decently, and the lead isn't here. Also, again, this dog, nice side gate. He's twisting them just a touch at the end with a little carp in the back. Big deal. You know, I'm nitpicking on these. I never find a dog I like. Yeah, you need to realize that. I find something wrong with every dog.
Champion Caraland's.
Well, none of them are perfect. None of them are perfect. Some are closer than others.
There you go. This is a nice group of dogs.
Select 4 dog.
Nice side gate on this dog. He's just a little rougher in the rear end.
Well, now that they're a little tireder and there's less...
Yeah, we're getting in slow motion here. We're getting them. We're getting a much smoother picture.
Champion Kismet's Throb.
Nice balanced dog. I'm going to end up saying about the same. This guy isn't quite as nice in shoulder as some of the ones ahead of him, but this is a hunk of male.
Select 7 dog. Champion Landaleigh.
This is a
Quedo,
more balanced dog with a little more level top line, but still very correct.
Select 8. The winner's dog.
And we have the double handler disadvantage. Here's the winner's dog. This is a youngster, but this is a pretty nice dog. Very balanced, very clean.
Select 9.
These dogs are starting to look a lot alike, don't you think?
Just a little.
Select 10 dog. Champion Asgard's Big Deal.
So you may be, people that are looking along with us, they may like them in a different order.
Select
well, they're running at
dog.
about 84% of the actual speed.
Well, this gives you a nice feel for the movement of the dog. And of course, at home, you can use your stop action and the step frame these, and you can see exactly where the hocks and the shoulders are. And it's always fun for me to stop them at full extension and see if the dog is perfectly balanced or not. Is the front all the way open? Is the rear all the way open? And are the legs underneath all the way up under?
First individual best of breed bitch competition.
All right, Carmen, here we go again. We're going to start this process all over again with about 6, 7 groups of bitches. We're going to judge them, select, and we'll come back up with another small group of bitches that we're going to call selects, and we're going to get a grand Victrix out of it. We're just repeating this procedure over and over again. Here's the first bitch in the first group. This is a nice, balanced, good striding bitch that's going to end up going select. Nice iron hard back on her, nice tail carriage. Just an overall real nice bitch. Maybe it could be a little darker in pigment. Here's another bitch that's going select, very clean coming and going. Good secondary sex characteristics, and she has a very nice balanced gait, good pigment. Nice tail carriage on her also, so she's using it as a rudder. It's not smacking the hocks.
Champion Ken-Delaine's Ruby Baby by Champion Amber's Stockbroker ROM out of Ken-Delaine's Puma ROM.
I was kind of surprised that the bitches weren't better than the males, but I think maybe that's all right. We're getting to the point where we're getting some equality in our sexes. That means our dogs have probably stepped up a step. I don't think our bitches have gotten worse.
You know, I heard the same comment in the judges' education seminar earlier in the week when the judges were evaluating the quality of the futurity and the maturity dogs.
Take a look at this bitch. This is almost a standard type bitch. She's correct size. She's extremely clean coming and going. If you want to see what a dog should look like coming and going, look at this one. Nice iron hard back. She takes a little bit too much movement from the side. She doesn't quite open it up enough for me or cover enough ground. So that'd be nitpicking on her. She'll end up going select too, I believe.
By Champion Ken-Delaine's tailor-made ROM out of Tyler of Fran-Jo.
Yeah, you're right, Carmen. You know, people should go back and look at tapes of dogs 10, 20 years ago or 10 years ago, and then they won't be as critical of the dogs that we have today. You know, your memory gets sort of jaded and warped about what the good old days are, and as opposed to where you are currently. Here's a bitch that ends up going Grand Victrix. Has a nice iron back, nice feminine bitch, good pigment. She's clean coming at you. She's a little close going away. It's the one thing I didn't like about her. And initially I didn't like her as well from the side because she's pulling. You can see when she gets going here, she almost single tracks, but she's almost just a hair close with just a touch of a twist at the end of the hock. I'm going to forgive her that when we get down to the end. Because here you go. Nice balanced bitch. Nice extension, keeping it close to the ground. And when she isn't pulling on the leash, she'll smooth out.
Champion Nike Clayfield Run for the Roses by Champion Coastline Whiskey Pete of Asgard out of Nike Clayfield First Love.
Well, you know, talking about going back and looking at old tapes, we've got 20-some years of
Champion
nationals
Nike
on videotapes now.
Clayfield,
So people who really want to go back and look at the dogs of the past, the great ones, the not so great ones, they're all there.
Wow, it'd be a very educational trip. Give you kind of an evolutionary picture of where the breed's been and where it is today. And I think it'd be kind of fun to ask yourself, well, what will the tapes look like 5 and 10 years down the road in the future? Are we winging our way towards whatever we end up at, or do we have some sort of plan?
Champion Benjo's Bye Bye Birdie.
You know, there's another nice moving bitch. She has just a little bit of a rumble in the back.
Bitches. D-Ray's Sunshine v. Landmark. High Cliffs.
It's kind of impressive when you watch these go back. You don't really see one you dislike. What you do is you're picking the ones that you like better than the other ones.
Ken-Delaine's Clarice. Champion Mary of Fran-Jo.
Well, I think that's one of the advantages of judging
Cypress.
specials.
Champion Nike Claypool.
They tend to all be pretty good.
Yeah, it's good to be a special judge because everybody's bringing you what somebody thought was quality initially. You're not out hunting for one. That somebody will kind of agree. Here's another bitch that's going select. This is a lovely bitch. Nice stride. She might be a touch large. I'd like to see her, well, let's watch her from the side here. She's nice, clean, coming and going. She's just gorgeous. And when I nitpick on her, I want her to pick that tail up a little bit better than she does.
Champion Raintree, Rowley,
you see a lot of bitches in here, and you say, well, I'd like to take that bitch and try breeding her once, see if I could get myself a superstar.
Champion Raintree.
So one of the exciting parts about the game is the best producing bitches aren't necessarily the top show-winning bitches.
Champion Windwoods, Zircon.
You know, that's also the
Saxony's
true in horses
Zeppelin,
and other breeds.
out of Champion Windwoods,
it's hard to
Paradise.
just take the winners and breed them and expect that they're going to produce the winners.
Well, that's what makes it an exciting game. If it was easy to breed exceptional animals, you know, then there'd be a lot of them, and there just aren't. Isn't that a nice, balanced bitch? You keep looking at these one after another, and you end up saying the same thing. It's a nice, balanced one, so we end up looking for those that are just more exceptional than the other ones.
HQ Estefan.
You know, a couple of years ago, we used to hear judges talk about eye color.
Georgia on my mind.
Doesn't, you know, it didn't strike me once that I saw an animal in here that I found the eyes offensive.
By Yorkdom
well, I thought of this. I looked at some of these. Almost all of them have dark eyes.
Yeah, we've got pretty decent temperament. We've got dark eyes. We've got reasonably clean coming and going. You know, we can still work at that in some areas. Dentition's good. Temperament's pretty good.
Champion Longs Peak.
Here's a bitch with gorgeous forest but she's going to go select. She could follow through behind a little better.
Champion BG's Halley of Rucklakar. By Champion Brentarl's Bark Epitome out of BG's Yes of Rucklar. Champion BG's Halley of Rucklakar. This is Champion Mariner's Magic Touch by select champion Nike Clayfield Andretti ROM out of Campaigners Hialeah. Champion Mariner's Magic Touch.
Looking at the catalog, I noticed that there was a number of related dogs at the National this year.
Champion
I don't know
Lee
if that's
Barland's Cowgirl.
unusual or not. Brothers,
Romeo
sisters, half-brothers, sire, daughters.
Sierra of Nordlish.
You put up a whole lot of related dogs, by the way. I always think that's a compliment.
Well, that means I'm equally good or equally bad, you know, or at least you know, reasonably consistent in what I like. You know, I think it's also true that, you know, different bloodlines tend to produce. Oh, we have to say these four people are the people that kept me out of trouble the whole time I was at the show. These are the ring stewards, and I thank them profusely.
Champion Abraxas 2 to Tango.
Good producing animals should come out of the same families, and you should see some trends, and those are the kinds of bloodlines that you'd like to use, either with your bitches, or if you have bitches in those bloodlines, then you try and look for the things that'll go well with them, either within the line or of other lines that have similar patterns of brother, sister, or male upon male, generation after generation.
Champion
nice animals.
Abraxas 2 to Tango.
Nice back. This one just labors a little inside gate.
Champion Edelhund's The Grand Finale by Romark Schwartz DeWald's Granite out of Champion Cedar Creek's Ellie V. Libre. Champion Edelhund's
I think it's interesting over the last few years. I know there's the big talk and controversy over which animal should be OFA and which animal shouldn't be OFA, but that, in a way, that's taking care of itself. We're getting a higher and higher percentage of the male dogs that end up going select. Just about all of them are carrying OFA numbers these days, with the exception of a few, which I think is good. And I'm not a huge fan of OFA. You know, it's not a science exactly when you have to have 3 different people concur on something, but you have to use the tools that you have available. It's one thing to criticize a situation, but you have to have a replacement or a better idea. And if not, then you go with the tools that you have. I think OFA is pretty good on hips. I think in some cases they're a little trying to be a little clairvoyant with elbows, not as consistent in their interpretation as I'd like to see them, or they see things that I think other people can't see.
One of the things that, just looking at the catalog, is that there's far more dogs OFA normal than bitches. Now, I don't know whether that's because bitch owners don't x-ray as much as dog owners, or whether it's that bitches don't pass for the same.
Oh, I think what happens is people with bitches a lot of times end up x-raying for themselves, and if they go to their vet and they x-ray them, and if they consider them normal, that's good enough for them, unless they're trying to sell the animal to someone. If you have a dog and you're going to have the dog at public stud, you really should have the dog OFA X-ray interpreted so that people have an idea where you're at. I mean, it would be very, very rare that I could think of a dog I would breed to that's not OFA certified. I mean, even when you're breeding OFA certified to OFA certified, it doesn't mean you're coming home free. It just means that you're putting the percentages in your favor.
Well, if you look at a pedigree of those dogs, what you see is the males all tend to have X-rayed hips and the bitches don't, and you're left with a dilemma, you know. Do they have good hips or not?
Well, in many cases, it's probably a cost-cutting measure for people. They know their bitch is good, that's good enough. They put their money somewhere else. But you're right, of course, it would be advantageous to know the hip history of first 2-3 generations on all sides.
Well, I think it helps the new breeder coming along and the breeder who's breeding to a dog long distance to know that its mother and its grandmother, the dam side of the pedigree, had as good hips as the male side.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that people focus so heavily on hips, and now we're making the transition to elbows.
The fourth group of best-to-breed bitches.
Let's just look at this bitch. This bitch is going to go select, and we'll come back to this this thought. This is a bitch with an iron hard back, a fairly spectacular side gait. She could have a little stronger head for me. She's nice and clean coming and going. She doesn't quite crack that rear end open in harmony with her foreassembly. And I mean, I'm really nitpicking on her here, but we'll watch her from the side.
Champion Kridler's K. Sarah.
See, that's a pretty impressive picture when you just look at it. If you think about it a little bit, that hock isn't quite open up on the end. She'll end up going select 5-6 somewhere in there.
By Champion von Grunwald Taurus.
We're talking about the hip situation and the elbows, and I think you need to be just as conscious of temperament, or does the dog have to take thyroid medication? I'm amazed at the supplements people think they have to add to dogs. You know, you go on the internet and sometimes and watch the postings on these boards and see what the topics of discussion are, and I'm amazed that we get so far removed into such minute things. People be discussing all the medications that you might give your animal for pano. Well, if you got severe pano, the best thing to do with the dog is get it out of the breeding population and don't worry about medicating it. What kind of antibiotics, what kind of inflammatories, what kind of solid this will you do that'll improve the dog. Best thing to do with a lot of these problems is just don't bring them into your breeding population. Select against them. And you can't always, you know, I realize you can't select against everything. So you have to reach some sort of balance. There's a nice balanced bitch. It's going to go select. She looks a little short in front here, and when he comes loose and lets her down a little bit, we'll get some front extension out of her finally. A lot of times I have to see them when they go around the corner here, and we can get them loose.
By select champion Ken-Delaine's Master Charge.
I hate to use the word total dog because I don't think there is such a thing as a total dog. That's one of those overused feel-good terms that people get into. It's like looking for an overall person. You know, some people play basketball, some people are jockeys. Some dogs do search and rescue better than others. Some dogs are good guard dogs, and some dogs are good seeing eye dogs. Each dog is probably better suited, but we like to think that the breed has the ability within it to do all these things, and I think it does.
Firecracker TCROM out of Rivendell's Witchy Woman.
Well, Total Dog, I think, comes from the working group where they have to
Champion
track and do
Rivendell's
obedience
Nemesis,
and do the bite work. They're
TC.
doing multiple things, and the word, you're right, the word is overused. It's become a label.
Champion Ken-Delaine's Via.
Well, we're doing better. It's
Basic
interesting
Four
to
by
see that a lot of
Ken-Delaine's
conformation
Master
dogs now
Charge
have
ROM
TC
out
on
of Terry
them, or they're
Bissett
doing a little
Basic
tracking, or
Four.
they're doing some herding, and that's certainly advantageous for the group, for the breed as a whole.
Well, at the annual meeting again this year, we saw a
Champion
number of dogs
Ken-Delaine's
now
Via
with
of Basic
dual
Four.
championships. The number of dogs that are award of excellent winners is on the increase, so it proves that people are going into more than just conformation with their dogs.
Yeah, that's super. We need balance in the breed. Yeah, we need
Champion
everybody to feel that
Kridler's
being in the
Hey
breed
Sarah
doesn't mean you're
Sarah.
locked into one particular aspect of it.
Champion Deodata's Black Rose. Champion Scherzar's Fanfare. Champion Skyline's Hidden Treasure. Champion Helmick Delane T. Champion Rivendell's
See, it's kind of fun
Nemesis.
watching champion bitches go by here because you see actually see
Ken-Delaine
one
Via
nice
of
bitch
Basic
after another,
Four.
and then we just decide which ones are nicer than the nice ones. You don't see any real tragedies trotting by.
It's the first exam in the 5th group of bitches.
Here's the bitch
Champion
that's
Ken-Delaine's
little
Dominique
long and by. It's an
by
extreme
Champion
side
Amber
gate. We'll watch her side gate.
Stockbroker
She covers a
ROM out
ton of ground,
Ken-Delaine's Puma
but she tends
ROM.
to drop the front a little for me when she goes by. We'll watch here.
Champion
She just comes up a little bit in the rear end
Dominique.
and drop in the front end, so she kind of has a little cast over the back, but she's covering a ton of ground.
Champion Esteem's Love Potion number 9 by Champion Caradori's Casanova out of Gagner's Jasmine.
You know, I think it's interesting that this tape does such a nice job of up close and personal with each of these dogs. This is a perspective you can't get from the grandstand.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It's from the grandstand. You don't see the dog against the
Champion
nice
Kagan's
background that
Happy
you can see down at this
Holiday,
level.
HIC. By
You don't get this
Champion
close.
Kagan's Legend
Yeah,
of
you
Van
guys, boy, that is
Iron
true.
City
This,
out of
you're actually
Regis
up closer
Folly
than
of
the
Korea.
judges almost, and definitely you are on some of these side gate shots where the lens goes across the ring and picks the dog up. Nice thing about the tapes is that gives us all a basis of discussion,
Champion
even if we don't
Kagan's
agree, then we
Happy
have something to
Holiday,
talk about.
HIC.
It isn't hearsay anymore. I used to go to a national unit at home and they could talk about it. Now it's
Champion
within a matter of weeks. The
Brutus
tapes are all over the
Beefcakes
country
out
and
of
people can
Champion
say, hey, did you
Rotenberg
see?
Zoe.
Or no way, look at that. Or what did he do here? Was he crazy? Was he drunk? Here's another bitch that's going select. This is a really nice type bitch. Nice pigment, clean coming and going. Nice balance gator. Towards the end, she comes a little short, but just a nice overall animal. There, she moves better when she puts the head down again. I guess I'm never going to be able to get handlers to show me animals with the head extended down just a little bit.
Well, we get some of the double handlers out of there, and
well, that is a
might have
nice thing.
chance.
Nice thing about a national ring is that sooner or later, if you run them long enough, you know what? They're all coming loose. The double handlers can't run forever, and the regular handlers can't go around these cones forever either.
Well, more regional clubs are
Coastline
asking for the tapes each year, so we feel that there's plenty of discussion going on at club meetings now about what they see, particularly for those who weren't able to attend.
Yeah, oh, they're excellent. Here's a bitch that's very pretty and tight, clean coming and going, but she's just having trouble using the rear end.
Of Asgard. Champion Yarmork's Flare of Chrismar, TC HIC, by champion Sherlow's Amadeus Van A&L, out of Yarmork's Siren.
I think the nice thing is the tapes provide a point of reference for conversation and disagreement and discussion. And people are finally, I think, in this breed getting to the point where they're less confrontational with each other. We may be maturing. We're able to get some sort of educational dialogue. And finally we get to the point where we can just say, well, we agree to disagree and let it go.
Including the conditional class winner, winner's bitch, and the veteran's bitch.
Well, I think that maybe shows the maturity of the people in the breed and in the club.
Champion Wyco's Fire Dance.
We hope so.
Firecracker, ROM.
We must be down to last group or next to last group here. This is a beautiful bitch. This bitch is a little doggy. This is a bitch, you know, when you look at her, I'd say, boy, I'd really like to have this bitch to try and breed a litter out of.
Champion Charisma's Cheyenne Von Cypress, by champion Josan's Enterprise, ROM, out of Charisma's Galena.
Well, this is the 6th group, so we know we're coming to the end.
Champion Charisma's
Well, nice thing about this tape, people can watch the whole national in under a couple of hours, and you would have had to look at about 6 hours of dogs if you were going to do the actual process with us. Well, there is no substitute for being there.
Out of Sunday Silence of Nordlicht, ROM. Champion Jericho's Sweetbriar Dart.
Here's a bitch that's having trouble with the tail again.
Covey Tucker Hill's Firemark, by Leiter's Firecracker, ROM, out of Covey Tucker Hill's Mark Mirage.
Well, overall, again, looking at the bitches, what do you think the strong and the weakest points were?
Strongest point is nice, balanced side gate, pretty decent size. Some of them are a little large. Thing that bothers me most is still the rear action on a lot of these animals, the tail and the inability to follow through or the dragging of the nails.
By champion Von K's Right On of Tamar, out of Chieftain's
Here's a bitch that's going to go select who's out of coat, but has a lovely long stride to her. A little loose.
Move Up, Walker's Quattro, Intwetamela.
She's not extreme in rear, but she uses it pretty nicely. It could follow through a little better right at the end.
Winner's bitch, Dynamics
People at home,
B-Nadiana.
when you got time, you're sitting around this winter, you want to go through these and stop frame them with your VCR.
Chanel.
Those that you like and dislike, and it's kind of fun to get a feel for what the dog looks like in stop action.
Winner's bitch.
Here's the bitch that was the winner's bitch, who's also going select. She cannot pull to look good. She has a little trouble opening that hock up at the end. Isn't so much the hock as it is the thigh. She isn't quite cracking that all the way open, but she looks much better. She was pulling way too hard there. We'll see her loose a little later, I think. She'll end up in the middle of the selects. Beautiful bitch when you're right up on her looking at her.
Winner of the conditional class, Legato's Pennies
Another
from
balanced
Heaven.
bitch. Could drive a little bit better in the rear. And not that
This
difficult
is the
to look
veteran
at.
bitch, Amber's Surprise of Olympus.
Oh, this is the veteran bitch. This is a nice bitch.
Amber's Sweet and Sassy.
Watch particularly, she got to see the nice long croup on her for an old gal. Thing I really like about her, she does a lot of coat too, but she uses the rear end really nice. Nice sweep, gets it up under her, pushes it back. You know, if you were standing behind her watching her go away, you could probably see the pads of her foot when she extended it at the end. Well, now we're going through our selection process again. Consulting my notepad and keeping the keepers out of the groups, and then we'll rejudge those that are left again. Make sure we didn't miss anybody.
Champion Kridler's K. Sarah Sarah. Champion Skyline's Hidden Treasure. Champion Rivendell's Nemesis. Judge Dave Rinke has now divided the 20 keeps again.
As you walk down the line there, what kind of things are you overall looking for?
Oh, I'm just refreshing my memory. I'm not so interested in how the handler's standing the dog. I'm never really interested. You know, I guess if push came to shove, you could ask, well, would this dog look good in a photo with me? But yeah, I'm just refreshing my memory as to what I thought about the dogs from my previous judging. I'm looking at it, I'm saying, oh yeah, that's the one that I didn't like the temperament on, or that's the one that was clean coming and going. And if it were a question in my mind, I might have them do it again. Here I'm just having them bring them out, petting them, seeing if the temperament appears to be holding up. And I'm looking at the dog as it's coming out at me. I'm running my memory banks one more time. Oh yeah, this is the bitch, real tight and pretty bitch, clean coming and going, legs super straight on her. This is bitch that looks like she's going to go, I think it's the one that goes select 3, long stride, could be a little darker in pigment. The select 2 bitch, this is the eventual Grand Victrix. Select 4 bitch.
Breauhausen, Pretty Woman. Champion Württemberg Spoku.
You know, after you look at them for 6 hours, you've got them pretty well. Actually, I'm looking at the bitches for 3 hours. But after you've looked at them for 3 hours, these are pretty well embedded in my mind. I'm going to see these suckers in my sleep for the next few days.
Quattro in Guatemala.
So the sorting process goes on.
Sorting process goes on again. It's judge, select, judge, select, judge, select. We eventually get down to you think, well, that's it. I can't do it any better than that. If I do it any longer, I'll overthink it.
Currently in front.
One of the reasons we're judging them for me, you know, this is a rather simple procedure I go through, and that's because it's easy for me, and hopefully people can kind of follow along with what I'm doing. The reason I did all the dogs first, including the photographs, is because I wanted to do it while it's still in my mind. I don't want the dog to go out in a crate and cramp up or something. I'm going to judge them right now the way they look, and then that's it. If I let them go out and sit around for a few hours and then bring them back again, I may have to rejudge them.
Well, they'll cool off.
Yeah, the environment could have changed dramatically.
Champion Kate vom Cypress.
Here we're looking at coming and going.
D-Ray's Sunshine v. Landmark.
Now this isn't because I can't remember them coming and going, but what I'm doing is I'm thinking to myself, well, am I going to move somebody because of the differences in coming and going?
Now in front.
And now this bitch appears to be out front, and the reason she's out front temporarily is she was the cleanest coming and going. But now I'm going to look at him from the side again. And I'm probably going to switch him because I've decided that the second bitch's side gate is superior to the first one's, and I'm going to forgive her the being close going away.
Back and front,
because she has the longer side gate than the second bitch.
Champion Kate vom Cypress. Champion Ken-Delaine's Clarice. The winner.
Well, there you go.
And that's it.
We got a winner.
Yeah, we made a couple people happy. A couple people are going, well, that's all right. Then a few people are going, I can't believe it. But that's what makes a dog show, you know. That's it. So we'll have another election, and we're going to go to a dinner. We're going to have some new judges for next year, and we're going to repeat the process all over again.
Well, the best ones are up in front. Year after year, that seems to be true.
I would agree with that, you know. And the nice thing is we provided an opportunity for everybody, whether they're at the National or whether they get the tapes, to see these dogs themselves, and they can make their own decisions and plan their own breeding programs.
Select 2. Champion Ken-Delaine's Clarice.
Yeah, these tapes are super. These tapes have really come a long way if you think from the quality of the tape and what you could and couldn't see on them 10 years ago to what you can see on them today, and the quality of the photography and the slow motion. It's awesome. It really is. It's exceptional.
Well, thank you. This is, I call it CNN quality.
Yeah, it's delightful.
Champion Breauhausen's Pretty Woman. Select 5, the winner's pitch. Dynamics B-Nadiana. Champion Kridler's Que Sera Sera.
Well, you're right. They do level out. They get a little tired. They don't react quite as well to the double hander, and you get to see the dog probably.
Yeah, we're getting there. Another hour, we'd really have them. You know, those leads would be hanging completely. Or if we took them up the other side where the double hander wasn't. But this is pretty good. You get a real feel for what the animal can and can't do.
HT.
You know, I know Perry, Georgia isn't the center of the U.S., but this, for me, this is my favorite show site just because it's such a comfortable place once you get there to watch the dogs. You can sit back, you don't have to worry about whether you're going to be hot or cold. And whether you're the judge or whether you're a spectator, this is an excellent place to look at the dogs.
Select 10.
It's probably the best show facility in America.
Yeah, we need to look around the country and see if we can't find some comparable facilities in the center of the United States and probably one on the West Coast so that we can move this around occasionally, make it accessible to as many people as possible.
Well, there's some pretty good sites coming along. There's some under construction now and some pretty good ones that somehow have been hidden away, and they've now identified them and they've come to the board, and I'm hoping we're going to be able to get to them in a year or two.
Select number 12.
Well, I hope that's true because it'll be good for the breed. The more people that can access these activities, the better participation we'll get.
Select champion Long's Peak Zima.
Well, again, people are probably saying, man, how many select bitches did this guy give? I think it was 14, select, including the veteran here.
Bitch.
And
surprise of
I don't apologize for that. I thought there were a lot of lovely bitches here. So I'm going with it. Yeah. We'll live with it. I'd take that bitch and breed her in a heartbeat.
This is a competition for best of breed. We have the 1997 Grand Victor.
This is it. No, but I'll tell you, once you got Grand Victor, Grand Victrix, be nice to be best of breed, but you know if you weren't,
the winner's dog,
you live with
Kridler's Quino v. Rowley, and winner's bitch, Dynamics B-Nadiana.
The trophies are the same size,
I understand. This is Grand Victor champion, Marhaven's Color Guard.
Here's our Grand Victor. He's still wagging his tail.
Grand Victrix, champion Kate from Cypress.
Well, Grand Victrix may be or may not be good coming and going.
Yeah, she got tied up a little bit there in the lead.
Well, I think as a judge, it's always fun to judge one of these because it forces you to put your brain where your mouth's been for the last few years. Then you can go home and retreat and hope people don't find you for a while, and eventually they forget, so it's not all that crucial. You just have to wait till the next year's judges come along, and then they become the focal point of hate groups and discussions and whatever.
Grand Victor champion Marhaven's Color Guard. Grand Victrix champion Kate from Cypress. Winner's dog, Kridler's Quino v. Rowley.
Well, without a doubt, whether you like the one that won or not, you have to admit that those are the best. And if someone liked another one, it isn't going to be very far behind the one that's up there.
Yeah, hopefully not. You know, hopefully there were a lot of nice animals that you had to excuse. But these are the ones that I felt were the exceptional animals out of the group that were there that day. Obviously, I gave quite a few selects, so I think there were quite a few select animals. I think the breed's in pretty good
Champion Kate von
state
Cypress,
of affairs these days. You know, obviously we've got some challenges and some room for improvement, but we're not going backwards. I think we're making some real strides.
Best of winners to the winner's pitch dynamics.
And I think it's encouraging that there's so much participation in a lot of areas of the breed.
1997 Grand
And
Victrix,
before this tape kind of runs itself out to the end, we in the breed need to be thankful for the participation of everybody, from the poopers, scoopers, to the catalog pushers, to the show secretaries, to the people that make all of these things possible. You know, none of this stuff happens automatically without somebody doing some work. And I'm very aware of that. I'm very appreciative of it. And as long as I'm on the tape here with you today, I want to thank all the people that make these things possible, from the parent club to the local clubs, because if they didn't participate, you and I wouldn't be here talking about the breed today.
You're so right. It's the people behind the scenes that make it happen. The committee chairs, all those hard workers that we never see and hardly ever recognize.
Select 4 dog, champion Kenlyn's Illuminator v. Fran-Jo.
This is a breed that people really need to enjoy. And one of the things that happens is when you get into competition, and on competition days, you don't necessarily see people as they are in ordinary life or in their everyday activities. I think if you get to know a lot of the people in this breed, you'd be amazed at how many interesting and charming people we have, and how many talented people we have in one aspect or another. And it isn't necessary that we all agree with each other, but I think it is necessary that we appreciate each other's talents and points of view. That is the basis for the breed making progress and going forward.
Well, you mentioned the standard 2 or 3 times, and judging a lot of breeds, I can tell you that our standard is one of the most complete standards that you'll find.
I think our standard is absolutely excellent. It is very specific in its descriptions of what it asks for, from type to coming and going to size. We just need to apply the standard maybe a little more rigidly in some areas. And you know, we talked about it before, and I think we ought to maybe think about getting our specialty judges together on a yearly basis and discussing our breed, and see if we can come to some sort of consensus as to what we could do to improve the breed.
Out of champion Robar's
Well, maybe we've got a recommendation for the board.
Oh, far be it from me to tell a board what to do.
By champion Peter Fran-Jo, TC, ROM, out of Ponca Hills, Kylie. Select 2 bitch, champion Ken-Delaine's Clarice.
Maybe you could
by select champion Ken-Delaine's
offer a few suggestions to breeders, new people coming into the breed, some ideas that they might think about early in their career.
Select 3 bitch, D-Rays Sunshine.
Oh, new people coming into the breed. Well, I think the best thing to do is look and listen for about the first couple of years, and don't believe most of what you hear. There's a lot of conversation and dialogue in this breed that is just absolutely amazing to me.
Out of champion Breauhausen's Danielle.
When I first got in this breed, I listened to what anybody and everybody said, and it took the best from the best of the people. You know, if there are people that breed a lot of good dogs, then I listen to them. If they talk a good game but didn't have good dogs, probably you wouldn't want to necessarily take their advice. But you can learn a lot by watching and listening.
Select 6 bitch. Champion Kridler's
That I think most important thing is to have a good time. I'm amazed at the number of people that sometimes appear to be unhappy about this, that, and the other thing. And I always end up asking myself, oh my God, if I was that unhappy, why would I be here?
By champion Württemberg's Brutus Beefcakes, out of select champion
We have a lot to be thankful for. We've got one of the best breeds in the country.
Select number 8. Champion Jagan's Bellstar HT.
We have the best all-around breed of canine on the planet, period. It's the most versatile animal there is. It can do anything. It can jump out of airplanes with parachutes. It can hunt birds. They probably wouldn't want us at the bird trials, but it can track. There isn't a thing the dog can't be trained to do.
By champion Sherlow's Amadeus von A&L, out of Yarmork Siren.
Well, Lackland Air Force Base taught us something when we were out there in April. The working dog now has a working life of 11 years. That means the dog is 13 years old when they retire. No breed in the country can say that.
Is that for shepherds?
That's for German shepherds.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's wonderful. Because longevity is, you know, that's another thing we're doing better with, I think, in the breed. We talked about problems we've been solving. We certainly haven't solved it completely, but longevity seems to be moving in the right direction in the breed currently.
Out of Chieftain's Razzmatazz.
Selection, 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 Carmen, that's right. You know, you read Brackett's pamphlet over and over again, and that is the foundation on which all breeding worth takes place. Until you get around to the point where you can just go out and clone the animals you want, you need to, under our current practices, select the best, get rid of the rest. It looks like we're about to the end of the festivities here, Carmen, and I want to thank you, the parent club, and all of the people that participated, and those of you who are at home watching this. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I truly enjoy this breed, and I've enjoyed judging your national. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.